in-house, essentially, universities.
Yeah,
You have any thoughts on whether that's a good idea and whether that might help rein that in at all?
Contracts and transparency needs to be a part of whatever decision they make. Otherwise, I mean, essentially we've become the NFL now because people can come and go as they please, but we don't have contracts. So it's actually more difficult than what they're having. And at some point, somebody smart, a lot smarter than me, is going to realize and figure out that we have to have contracts, we have to have transparency to move forward, and then at least we have a starting, we can get to the starting line and we know what we're dealing with.
People, Coach Mike Gundy decided to say something very poignant. He said the quiet part out loud. So here we are celebrating the NIL movement and celebrating the whole conference realignment movement, and they're trying to counteract that. The counteracting is very simple. They want to put contracts in the NIL, which I understand. I somewhat agree with it. It's the whole fact of, if you sign for money, you should be obligated to play a certain percentage time, have a certain standard of being, the same way the NBA does, Draymond Green. But the thing that I'm looking at that people are not noticing, the word amateur. So if you, for instance, sign a contract and are considered no longer an amateur, you lose all amateur bases, right? And what does that mean for football or basketball or college sports? Well, the only way you get a scholarship is if you are, let's say it together, an amateur. Only way you get insurance, let's say it together, amateur. Let's not pretend like all of these contracts are going to be the 2.5 million to 8.5 million. Some of these contracts are $10,000 to $12,000, $50,000. You sign a $50,000 contract, guess what's going to happen? You got to pay that money to the school to play. Think about that for a second, people. If you sign a contract, you no longer are an amateur. And no longer amateur means you don't qualify for the Pell Grants. You don't qualify for the student loans. You don't qualify for the scholarships. So saying the quiet part out loud, Mr. Gundy really is saying is, if you want to get paid, if you want to make more than the coaches are making at your school, you want to be the big man on campus, big lady on campus, whatever you are, give up all your rights. And remember, by doing this, there is no union in college football. There is no union in college basketball. So there's no way, there's nobody to judge how each university or conference will treat you. Now, we know that Ted Cruz and the boys tried to do something last year, but they kind of held back until after the election. Very convenient, huh? Vote me in and I'll change it for you. This whole thing is getting very, very funny. There's an old saying by Maya Angelou, one of the greatest poets of all time. She told a young lady named Oprah Winfrey, if somebody tells you and shows you who they are, believe them. The NCAA has shown us for years they really don't give a damn about these kids. Hell, they pimp out the cheerleaders, literally and figuratively. The basketball players, the females, are pimped out. I've seen people come on college visits and all of a sudden the fraternities take them on a quote-unquote party with some cheerleaders. Come on, man. Giving a contract to a kid now is basically what's going on at Texas A&M. When they signed that whole number one class of all time, they had 2 years they couldn't leave. But now if you get them kids 4 or 5 years they can't leave, and they're under contract, and you can control the terms of that contract, it means you're back to square one. I mean, basically you are controlling the kids' pay, threatening their life and their livelihood. NCAA has a lot of things to check out, and this right here is one of them. When someone says the quiet part out loud, believe them, and then realize what they really mean. All the rights you think you got, say goodbye to him. He's a man. Ask him about that. I'm out.
That's why I don't read the newspaper. Because it's garbage. And the editor that let it come out is garbage. Attacking an amateur athlete for doing everything right. And then you want to write articles about guys that don't do things right and downgrade them, the ones that do make plays. Are you kidding me? Where are we at in society today? Come after me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I'm not a kid. Write something about me.